Yahoo! Welcome, my beautiful brothers and sisters, to the Aquarian Adepts, my platform to become your spiritual server. And welcome to your daily Adept report for today, Thursday, July 5th of 2018. Thank you so much for joining me on this video. And hope you had a wonderful 4th of July. I was actually working all day, but it's all good. And you know what? Despite all the stuff that's happening in the world, despite all of the confusion that's being perpetuated and the disillusionment that's being perpetuated, I still believe that we are living in some of those powerful times. And if you happen to be watching this video, if you happen to live in the United States, then you are actually quite fortunate. You really are. I mean, I believe that everyone in the world can be, just for being here, but especially if you're in the United States, we actually are quite fortunate, so we really should take time to appreciate what we have here. And that's not to say that we can't move forward and strive for more and progress, because we are naturally wired to progress as humans. But we should take time to really appreciate what we have, just appreciate all the different resources, and just realize that we do have an incredible opportunity to really move forward and to make powerful shifts and changes in our life. Chiron has officially gone retrograde. In fact, it went retrograde yesterday, right around, I guess, 5 or 6 in the afternoon, Eastern Standard Time. This is in the sign of Aries, so there's definitely going to be a bit more sensitivity when it comes to our behavior, our action, our ego. Not only that, but today we have the moon shifting into Aries, so it's going to come on top of Chiron, which is now retrograde. This is going to add to that sensitivity to where we're going to kind of want to push things forward, or we're going to want to communicate what we believe our truth is and who we are, and it might not be as well received because people are going to be, wanting to communicate what they want to be for. They're going to be feeling from that spot, especially since the moon rules emotions. We're really going to be feeling deeper into these wounds. Whenever a planet goes retrograde, I like to think of it as the energy going more internal. So now, whereas before when Chiron was direct in Aries, we were kind of projecting the wounds that needed to be healed. We were projecting them, via our personality or actions that we're taking. Now that it's gone internal and the moon's going to come on top of this spot, we're really going to start to feel on a deeper soul level these behaviors, these wounds as it comes to our personality, our ego, and how can we heal them. So it's going to be a rather sensitive day for the most part. We also have the sun, which is actually going to come to the apex of its trine with Jupiter. We have a grand water trine, which is happening all throughout the week with the sun in Cancer, Jupiter retrograde in Scorpio, and Neptune retrograde in Pisces. So there's a grand water trine, because even though we're bringing this moon in Aries energy too, which always gives this emotional push to want to just act on impulse and to do things on impulse, this grand water trine is really asking us to heal. It's really telling us that we actually have the ability to heal. The sun in Cancer, this is a time where we really need to have more compassion for ourselves. We really need to nurture ourselves more. And when it's trining over to Jupiter retrograde, which will actually be coming direct here soon, it actually will be one of the few planets that will be going direct, because we have a lot of planets that are going retrograde right now. But with it making this trine over to Jupiter, it's really asking us to even have compassion for the aspects of ourselves deep within ourselves, the things that we shoved in the closet, these deeper desires and wants, to have compassion and allow these things to see the light of day. Because I think what happens is that a lot of times we like to shove these deeper wants and these desires down because we believe that that's not what people want, or we believe that we have to be a certain way, so we shove these aspects of ourselves. It's interesting, I'm watching an anime right now, and I can't remember exactly what the name of the anime is, but it's essentially about otakus. And otakus are individuals who kind of glorify anime or pop culture type things, and they don't really mesh well with society. They're kind of like, they kind of, now I wouldn't say that they have social anxiety, but it's more like they really are immersed within that pop culture, and they don't really, quote unquote, have too many friends, or they don't really, get along in the social aspect of things. So the main character, interesting enough, she's an otaku, and then she meets up with a childhood friend who happens to be one as well, and then she meets two other people, and one of them is like a hardcore cosplayer, and the other one's kind of normal. It's kind of funny because he's actually a Scorpio, and at least it shows throughout the show, their horoscope and stuff like that, and he's a Scorpio, and he really acts like a Scorpio. But the interesting thing is that she would hide the concept, or she will hide this fact that she was an otaku, but she's actually starting to realize that there are people who are going to accept her for who she is, and they befriend her. She even, starts to date one of the other characters who seems kind of stoic, and he doesn't really make too many facial expressions and stuff, but it turns out he can be quite emotional. He can be quite, caring, even though he doesn't show it. And he's an otaku as well. And he's like, why don't you just find someone who accepts you for who you are? Why do you have to hide it? This was one of the first things that he said to her at the beginning of the anime. And I think that's really what this is about, the Sun Trine Jupiter. It's like we're bringing awareness to these aspects of ourselves that we do want to bring out, and we have to really ask ourselves, like, well, why would you hide this? Someone's going to accept you for who you are. But I think sometimes what happens is that we feel like we have to be a certain way to be accepted by other people. We have Mercury, which is going to oppose Mars retrograde, which is really powerful, just because, Mercury, which is in Leo, asking us to really communicate from our heart space. It's going to be opposing Mars retrograde in Aquarius. So it's like what we communicate from our heart might not necessarily mesh with other people's drive to kind of push things forward and innovate. But we have to consider that Mars is retrograde, so it's like we might even feel like we want to communicate from our heart or communicate what our heart wants, and we might want to even take action. But since Mars is retrograde, this action has to first be internal. The changes have to first be internal. So there might be an impulse to want to either escape or to want to try and save the world, but this is not a time to do that. This is a time to go within. The moon's going to be making most of the aspects today. It'll square Saturn retrograde, it'll trine the north node and sextile the south node, it'll sextile Mars retrograde, and then it'll trine Mercury. So a lot of the aspects that the moon's going to be making today are rather positive. So the overall theme, I feel, is that you are allowed to heal. I think this is interesting that we have, like I said, the wounded healer, which has just gone retrograding, in Aries. And it will actually come back into Pisces. So this even deals in many ways with our spiritual purpose. But we are really being called and asked to heal and to accept ourselves for who we are, but also to know that we can grow, we can evolve, we can move forward, and that, we are the culmination of all the actions that we have taken to this moment, and even, of course, like I said before that. So if you find yourself in a place where you're not 100% fond of, first of all, take a deep breath. You're here, so you actually have the opportunity to make a change and just incrementally start doing things, especially for yourself. This is Aries, so it does rule the self. Start doing things for yourself that's really going to allow you to propel yourself and move yourself forward in a very powerful way. So, and you will find yourself in a future where you actually feel like you belong, really. You feel like that's where you're supposed to be, because you actually took the steps, the necessary steps, day by day, to make a change for the better. Well, we have a couple of cards that just fell out, actually, so we're going to go ahead and go with that. So it's interesting. We actually have the Five of Swords, and we have the Six of Swords. This is kind of interesting. I see this as you can kind of go one of two ways today. With the Five of Swords, either you can kind of choose to be on the battlefield and try and take all the swords and try and be the best on the battlefield, because you have to consider, Mars is retrograde. right, which is about the warrior. Now you have Chiron, which is retrograde in Aries. So you can choose to be on the battlefield and to sling your wounds around and to throw your wounds around and be like, I'm the most wounded, I deserve the most swords, I deserve to be at the top. You can do that. Or you can kind of take the Six of Swords route and be like, you know what, I can leave these burdens behind. I don't have to fight in this capacity. Not that there's not a spiritual war that is happening, but you don't necessarily have to be on the battlefield throwing your wounds around, slinging them around, and seeing who has the most wounded. I'm the most wounded. I'm the most wounded. I'm the most wounded. We almost have like this victim culture that's kind of brewing, where we're trying to one-up each other on who's the most hurt. And that's kind of fucked up, honestly. I know that we all have traumas and stuff, but we all can be healed. Hurt people hurt people. Healed people heal people. This is the wounded healer. We're not supposed to just throw our wounds around and just see who's the most hurt, because you're going to end up hurting other people more. This is about learning to heal ourselves. So you can either, like I said, choose to stay on the battlefield, throw these wounds around, and try to have the biggest sword, or you can kind of leave these burdens behind and kind of go internal, go within, and begin to heal yourself. Okay? So that is it for your reading today. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. I would really appreciate it. And if you'd like a personal reading with me, you can follow the link in the description below to the Aquarianadepts.com. And always remember, my beautiful brothers and sisters, to keep moving forward, to stay focused, and Yahoo! Smile often.